on, girl, let's scream.
I am a god.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel. This is the part where you run.
Come on, scream.
Hello and welcome to Let's Scream, a podcast where we dive into our favorite horror movies. I'm Parker.
And I'm Stevie.
I'm Keaton.
And today we are looking at 2007's Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, directed by Tim Burton. Join us as we journey to London and learn all about Mrs. Lovett's meat pies. Are you girls ready to scream?
Come on, girls. Let's scream.
Okay, so today we are joined by a very special guest via Zoom.
Zoom.
Joining us from Chicago, it is Dakota.
Chicago.
Hi, Dakota.
How's it going, girl?
Hi, how are we?
Good. We're so excited. Are you ready to scream today?
Let's scream, mama.
Hell the fuck yeah. So, Dakota is our theater friend
Yeah.
who has seen a bunch of shows. And you were saying that you got to see the, Josh Groban Sweeney Todd recently.
Yeah, I saw the most recent revival of Sweeney Todd on Broadway with Josh Groban and Annalise Ashford. And honestly, there's angels in that man's throat. And that's the only thing I can say about that production.
Period.
I've also seen Sweeney Todd 4 other times on stage.
Yeah.
It's very much one of my favorite shows.
Hell yeah.
Now the movie,
Movie's a different story.
we'll see.
So we'll go around. We'll start by giving our opinions.
Well, just real quick, what is your favorite musical? I don't think I've ever asked you this.
Next to Normal, Six, and Sweeney Todd are all tied.
Okay, so
3
this one.
different vibes, but all similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just was curious.
yeah. So Stevie, how do you feel about this movie?
I hate this movie. I hate this movie. I hate so much about this movie. I hate the casting. I hate the singing. I hate the cinematography at points. This is not my... I like Tim Burton movies. I do not like this one. I do not like a lot of the directing. I do not like the green screen, the CGI in parts. I do appreciate the gore. I do think it's good in those aspects, but everything else, I don't know. I just don't really give a shit. It's just, I don't... And I've never seen the stage production, so I have no connection really to the show. Unlike last week's where, I've seen it. So that's why... And
you love it.
And the movie was fun. And Phantom of the Opera is a fun movie. But this one, I don't know. I didn't give a shit.
Keaton, how do you feel?
I have a soft spot for any Sondheim show. I really do. He's to me what Andrew Lloyd Webber is to Stevie. Phantom, Cats, Starlight Express, all that.
I don't know Starlight Express. I just know
know.
Cats and Phantom.
And I love Sweeney Todd. I've seen it many times on stage. I love Sweeney Todd. The movie was interesting, but I thought a refreshing move along from last week's Phantom of the Opera. I was happy to move away from Phantom, and this one at least I was singing along. I was at least thinking somewhat happy thoughts.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Keaton, because last week's episode, Dakota, did you happen to listen
I
to
did,
the
and I do
Phantom
just want to
episode?
echo something that Keaton said last week, that if I ever saw Andrew Lloyd Webber, it is on site.
On site.
It's on
It is
site.
fucking on site.
So, coming from that, where I, despised that fucking movie so much and thought it was, a failure of an adaptation of a musical, this, I at least think, they did fun stuff with it. So, I can't, hate it too much. Do I think that the performances are weak and kind of don't... there are weird decisions for sure. And this is kind of at Tim Burton's, like, the beginning of his downfall era, for sure.
Yeah, entering flop era.
Yeah, because Tim Burton, and we'll see, you said you liked Beetlejuice.
Yes, I did.
But that's the first Tim Burton project in, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years that I've been excited about. So we're kind of in the trenches when it comes to Tim Burton. And I used to love Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Used to, like,
Well,
his
he did-
80s and 90s shit is amazing.
Yes, I mean, Batman.
Batman.
Batman
He
Returns.
has my favorite Batmans, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I stand. I had fun with it, though, overall. I thought I did fun stuff.
Yeah,
We'll get into
it
it.
was bad, but in a little bit of a fun way.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Stevie. The gore is amazing. And that's what I think probably is my favorite part, and what makes me not hate it all the way is because they were like, we're doing a movie version of this horror musical. We can do gore. We can have all these graphic throat slit scenes and bloody shit. And as a horror person, I said that's for me. Absolutely.
I appreciated that.
All right, Dakota. How do you feel?
I'm so torn on this movie because, like, again, I love Sweeney Todd so much. Johnny Depp is so fucking miscast in this movie, it's not even funny. This is, like, one of the biggest roles in musical theater for, like, a baritone singer.
Absolutely.
Why can't we let a singer do the singing? I mean, it's how I feel about the Les Mis movie, too. Hire singers. Sondheim is hard.
Sondheim is
so
hard.
hard.
Yes, so...
And it's just like, there's scenes in this movie that are like, his like mental breakdown after Judge Turpin like gets away. That is like the most impactful scenes in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, I felt nothing. I wanted it to be over.
Well, he's doing, and we'll get into it as we go, but like all the performances are so like subdued in this. In a movie where the characters need to be really campy and really crackhead to sell this extreme of like a story.
I don't like him in it, and I don't like Helen in it. I think she is. Captions were on, thank God, because she does not speak up. Like, bitch,
She was whispering.
speak up.
She whispers.
And
she does, and she's got such a thick Cockney accent. I don't know what the fuck she's saying half the time.
And it's, I didn't like her in it.
I liked her in other things. I like
I like her in some things. I do think she plays the same.
She plays the same role.
Same character in a lot. But like, I mean, not recently. She was in The Crown. I don't know if I'm the only
Oh,
one.
she's so good on The Crown.
She's so good as Margaret on The Crown, and that's so left field from what she normally plays.
I think it was Tim Burton being like, be subdued. Like, I think he was scared to do like a musical that was live action and not one of his animated ones, like A Nightmare Before Christmas. And it feels like he was pulling his actors back, I feel like. And it just, I don't know, it doesn't work for this story, I feel like.
It just feels like they're scared of the comedy in the show. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
It's supposed to be
some
dark,
really
so we can't be funny.
Shit that they just glaze over.
100%. And like, Sondheim is so dynamic.
And hysterical. Like,
yeah,
funny. Even in
it's
the
so funny.
saddest shit, there's something funny.
Yeah. Well, so last week we talked about in how Phantom of the Opera, how that being influenced by Lloyd Webber kind of destroyed that. I feel like if any adaptation that Sondheim has had of a movie, you can tell that like he's very involved. He's not like gonna over direct.
He wasn't involved in this,
But
he was consulted.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like, that's what I was going to get to is he like obviously did not have the involvement in this production that he's had in other ones.
Yeah, and you can
The
tell.
craziest thing I found out about this movie is that before he died, he said, this is the only movie that's been made of one of his shows that he approves of.
Yeah, this is the
Which
only
blows
one.
me out of the fucking water.
That's wild.
Because he got approached to do it by Tim Burton, and Stephen Sondheim was like, I have complete creative control over who plays who. And Tim Burton said, I only want Johnny Depp. Like, I'm not going to let you say no to Johnny Depp. And they
'Cause
fought about it.
He was sucking Johnny Depp's cock and dick and balls during this era.
And somehow he convinced Sondheim to go with Johnny Depp. And yeah, no, before he died, he still was like, this is the only movie adaptation that, like, I like of my stuff.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's where I'm at overall. Anything else? Do you guys have any fun
I
facts?
do. You guessed it. I do have some
Fun fact corner.
That was my first fun fact, is that Sondheim actually really believed in I like this project.
Sorry, I stole your fun fact.
No, it's fine. I have a few more. Don't you worry. One is that Helena Bonham Carter didn't see this movie till 3 years after it was produced, because she famously does not like to watch her own work. So like she's never seen any of the Harry Potter movies. It took her years to watch this one. She famously doesn't like to watch whoever. Fun fact that this is the second week this podcast is watching a movie that had a potential Anne Hathaway casting until it was taken away from her.
Bring that up too.
It's Joanna. She was considered for Joanna and snatched that. They also considered Burnett Peters for Love It. That was a consideration that was made.
The hell up! I would have ate that shit
And
up.
Imelda Staunton.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
She would have ate.
Well, didn't she end up like playing?
Like 3 years later,
Love
4
It
years,
at
5
some
years
point?
later. Yeah,
On
in
the West
London.
End.
And she was great. I did see.
She was
videos of
great.
her.
She was great.
Wow,
She was great. She
so
was
the
great.
Crib actually had a good movie.
Yeah, but they just.
Well, no, because Johnny Depp was always going to be in it.
Tim Burton just loved casting those two in this era.
And they were dating at this
and
time.
they were dating, so that's how it goes.
And Sondheim didn't want her. And then she sent him apparently like 13 self-tapes. And he liked her voice enough or something. He just eventually was like swayed. And
He was annoyed enough.
he was annoyed. And Sasha... I don't know how you
Sacha Velour?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
His self-tape for this was the entire score to the 1971 musical Fiddler on the Roof. The entire songbook.
Shut up.
That was his
Okay,
audition tape.
and we were talking about this before. He's a shitty person.
He's awful.
Cannot stand him. But he camped it up in this movie. I think he's one of the better parts of this movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
That's all my fun facts that are not scene specific.
Fun fact.
I have both this week.
Last week you were like, oh, I don't know. My fun facts and this.
I
and
just
that.
felt like I was hogging parts of the movie, but
No.
no. So now I've seen specific fun facts too. Not many. There weren't many not production fun facts.
Does anybody else have any other things that they want to share before we hop into
I don't
our
have
spoilers?
a fun fact, but for some reason I had myself convinced that Amanda Seyfried was Joanna in this movie.
Because
I haven't seen it in 2 years, and when I put it on this morning, and it wasn't Amanda Seyfried, my mind was like, blah.
she plays the same fucking character in Les Mis, that's why.
You're so right.
She plays Cosette.
It would have been better with her, probably.
Yeah.
And I think that whole storyline, once we get into it,
We'll get it.
It's diabolical.
Is it more, because I haven't seen the stage show, is it more fleshed out in the stage show?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
holy
It's a much
shit.
bigger.
It's just kind of like, oh, okay, these two again, I guess.
No, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into them.
Okay.
They're an integral part of the stage production.
Yeah.
Truly.
Okay, y'all. So if you're listening and you have never seen Sweeney Todd and you don't want to be spoiled, I would say don't spoil yourself because the plot is fun and it has some little twists and turns.
But watch the Angela Lansbury version.
We prefer watch one of the
Watch your pro
tapings.
shop, please.
Of the show. So
But then come back and share what you think about the differences.
All right. So without further ado, are y'all ready to scream?
Oh, I'm ready to sing.
Oh, I'm ready to sing. Okay, come on, girls.
Let's sing.
Okay, so we open.
Wait, can I open? Wait, I would
You can
actually.
open.
I'm very passionate about this opening.
Go
scene.
for it. Go for it.
So we open on the CGI intro credits of these machines and blood and the waters of an unknown town at this point. And mama, every CGI worker on this production deserves to be locked in prison for the rest of their lives. They do not deserve to have a piece of technology ever put in their hands again. It was so bad. It was so egregious. Took me out of the movie within the first 30 seconds. Mama, physics don't work like that. That's not how any of that would have played out. Disgusting.
Well, it looks like cartoony. It doesn't read to me as...
I think it's about to say Treehouse of Horrors at the end.
Treehouse of Horrors. Doesn't read as, like, realistic at all.
No, it was bad.
Bad.
This is one of the few parts of this movie that I like.
Oh, go off, Delta. Come on.
Like, it's not greatly animated, but I don't have to look at Johnny Depp for a good 3 hours.
It's so true.
Hey,
so
pop
true,
off
Misty.
on that
It's
one.
So true.
There's also the music they play over it is like the actual opening number from the musical.
Yes.
Right.
Which was supposed to be in the show, and then Tim Burton cut it the last fucking minute because it's too theatrical.
And wasn't it supposed to be like Christopher Lee?
Playing, like...
Christopher Lee, they were supposed to be like ghosts of his, like
Victims.
victims.
No,
That
so,
would have
like,
been
the
cunty,
Ballad of Sweeney
cunt.
so that's why I wanted to passionately open it. Because then we...
So that's why it looks so last minute then.
Yeah, because
why
then
it's
we
so poorly done.
open
That makes sense.
to this boat pulling in. You see London. You see Tower Bridge in the distance. You might think it's London Bridge. Wrong. Tower Bridge, baby. You see Tower Bridge. And this is number 2. Strike number 2. Already 10 minutes in. Strike number 2. Not even 10 minutes in. And they cut the Ballad of Sweeney Todd. They cut the Ballad of Sweeney Todd. One of the most iconic songs from this show. It gets referenced in pop culture. It's this big phenomenon of a opening number, but no, we see Toby on a boat. And I just think that Tim Burton is a coward. He was scared of it being too theatrical. He's a coward.
You can tell he was trying to make it, and I think that's also why they're so serious the whole time. And they whisper the whole fucking movie. Yeah. It's like, speak the fuck up. And, like, it's not... Because, like, that's the thing. I think that's why I don't like this, because I've always known that people who love it say it's very fun, it's very campy. It's, like... It's darker tone, obviously, but it still, like, kind of falls, like, in the stage show, like, production, kind of like how Little Shop of Horrors is.
Yeah, it's like, how do you eat people
horror,
but make it campy?
Yeah. And this just doesn't feel that way.
No.
Like, it takes itself too seriously.
Too seriously, I agree. It's like, it's lacking fun, and this is supposed to be, like, equally horror and fun. Sure.
Because you're supposed to, like, kind of root for him.
Yeah.
Because it starts out as, like, a revenge story.
But I'm not on Johnny Depp's side.
No. And let's play a sound effect. The sound effect that we always play whenever we mention Johnny Depp on this podcast. Wah, wah. So, okay, yeah, like you said, Keaton, a boat appears. We meet Anthony, who is singing a song called No Place Like London. He loves London. He just loves it. Then we meet Sweeney Todd. He hates London.
He hates it.
No place like London. The Cockney accents in this show, though.
Well, it makes sense because he's the only American in the main cast.
Oh, I hate London.
He's the only American. He hates London.
I'm
Me
Sweeney
too.
Todd.
I get it.
So he has trauma, okay?
Trauma.
He tells
He's not special.
Exactly. We get a flashback, which I am gonna give this movie props because they did a flashback. Whereas last week's movie, I said, where are the flashbacks? This is a movie. Why are we just watching the characters singing at each other when you can show stuff and provide, like, visuals here? So I at least was like, okay, thank God. They're being creative in some regard.
Thank God.
That's how low the
There's
bar
something to
was
say
coming
that
on
the
for
flashbacks are like bright and sunny when the rest of the movie is like grayscale as fuck.
Right, which
But
is
normally in a lot of other movies, it's completely the opposite. You know what I mean?
true.
I don't... Yeah, I don't like the... That was something I mentioned to Keaton today. I was like, I don't like the coloring in this movie. It looks so, like, bleak and just kind of, like...
Blue.
Dusty and blue.
I like it. I think that's the visuals in this movie besides the CGI, but I think the costume design, the set design, and the color grading, I actually think do a good job of making me feel like, oh, I'm in whatever century, London times when everything was shitty and foggy and, like, dark.
Shit in the street.
21st century.
Poop in the streets.
Yesterday.
London today, baby.
Yeah. London babes. But yeah, no, I disagree. I like the color grading.
I don't.
But we see
It's a
the
Tim Burton movie, that's what I expect.
and that's yeah, it's Tim Burton style. All of his movies.
Blue.
are
Very blue.
Blue. Blue scale.
Blue, sunken in eyes, that's all you really need to call it a Tim Burton movie. To
No,
me,
literally. It's the Twilight filter.
truly.
Yes,
Twilight.
yes, it's the Twilight filter.
But so yeah, Sweeney Todd tells Anthony that he had a wife and a young daughter. We see this flashback where they're in the town square buying roses, and then the judge shows up, and the judge is played by Alan Rickman. And also the Beetle, his assistant, is played by the guy who plays Wormtail in Harry Potter. Peter Pettigrew.
Timothy Spall.
Tiffany Small. What's his name? Timothy Small?
Timothy Spall. He's also in Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yes, he is.
I like these two. I think they're great.
This is a good pair. It's a
Fabulous.
great pair.
Great casting.
Alan Rickman stopped singing for a moment.
I loved Alan Rickman singing. It was like a dog walking on his hind legs. I loved it, you guys. When he was doing like the little.
No, I kind of lived for him. I will
loved
say, you know what? I was like, you know what? Him I can buy as a bad singer. Like, I'm all allowed.
He's great. If anyone can play a good cunty villain, it's Alan Rickman. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
He was amazing. He just decides, I'm gonna ruin this man's life. Like, he's just like, I don't
I like your
you.
wife.
I don't like you, Sweeney Todd. I want to fuck your wife. He, for no reason, arrests Sweeney Todd and
banishes him
to
him. Australia?
Somewhere. It's unclear. But he then kind of like was perving on the wife. But we don't, that's kind of all we know so far, is he's just being creepy. And he's some kind of powerful judge in this town.
In this town, mama, this is a metropolitan.
In London.
It's London town, babes.
Get the London look.
You can't get the London look in the US anymore.
Yeah.
Oh.
Rest in peace,
Yeah.
everyone.
So, Sweeney Todd is all like, see you later, Anthony. And we get the kooky, like, zoom through of the streets of London.
But my filmography,
It was
the
so
editing,
I was like, what the fuck
I
is
was
going on?
nauseous. I'm about to throw up. Where is address?
And you never see this effect ever again. Ever again in this movie. I feel like they were like, oh, we got this new effect. You want to see it? And they're like, that's so cool. It's like sneaking on.
They were so random.
It's like
Score
new.
here seriously makes me shake my ass every time.
Oh, yeah.
No, literally, Keaton was shaking their ass to it like a few minutes ago when we were talking about the.
Like, yeah, but the shot, we didn't need that.
No, it reminded me of like when I would make a PowerPoint in like class and then I'd have all the effects.
The transitions.
And then like every letter individually would come in. And the teacher would be like, seriously? And you're like, yeah, just give it a minute.
And it would just spell like the end or something.
Like 20 minutes of effects.
I liked it. Whatever. It's camp. Listen, this movie's not very fun. So when there's fun, I'm like, okay, I'll accept it. I'll take it. So we meet Mrs. Lovett, who is played by Helena Bonham Carter, and she owns a meat shop, Mrs. Lovett's Pies. And Sweeney Todd visits, and she is doing her little pie thing, and she sees him and goes, a customer! She sings the worst pies in London.
Worst pies in London.
Singing about how times are tough.
Times is hard.
And there's no fucking meat anywhere, and like the resources to make good pies is so expensive.
We're having to pop pussies into pies.
There's a woman. She sings about a woman named Mrs. Mooney, who is rumored to kill pussycats and bake them into pies. But I will say, Helena Bonham Carter's performance in this, I cannot understand what she's saying. And I don't think I ever realized that was the lyric until I watched it back this time with my subtitles on.
Yeah,
So there
watch
you
the
go.
subtitles, y'all, if you're gonna put yourself through this movie.
So, I don't know. How do you guys...
I just know the words to Worst Pies in London. I don't need
Yeah.
I don't
Those
need
are great to my brain at
subtitles.
this point.
But what do you guys feel about this maybe we can get into, like, really get into her performance at this point.
It's low energy. It's like Miss Lovett is supposed to be this like likable, zany woman who runs this pie shop.
She's a crackhead.
She's a little crazy, and her inflection is crazy. She's screaming, and then she's quiet, then she's up again, and she's down again. And this was very one note.
I do like the way the scene is filmed, strangely enough. Like, I like the shots that they put together.
Yeah.
Of her, like, hitting the like, dough and, like, the roaches. Like, I like that kind of stuff, but damn. She's supposed to be, like, the Harley Quinn to Sweeney Todd's Joker kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you don't ever get that.
She's like a goth girl. She's like, I work at Hot Topic, and
Very that.
I don't give a fuck kind of vibes. But
It's just...
how was Annalee's version of Love It?
Holy... She came on and did this number and got a standing ovation, like, 2 months into the run.
That's
When we saw it.
crazy.
And just... crackhead energy is the only way I can describe it. This and her version of By the Sea, I think about it literally every day. She's the funniest fucking person I've ever seen live. Like,
I would
she's-
have loved... That's when I heard her as Mrs. Lovett, I was like, that's
Yeah.
perfect casting. Yeah.
True.
Josh Groban, perfect cast.
Perfect casting, yeah.
And she's so nice. I met her at the stage door.
Shut up, really?
I was like, I've loved you since Legally Blonde. And she said, oh my God, really? I said, yeah, you opened the show. Like a star.
True, yeah, true.
I do love Legally Blonde.
I
can't even
do
lie about
love
that.
the Legally Blonde musical, too. I think
It's a good
fun.
one.
Yeah,
Truly.
it's a fun one. Yeah, she's a little subdued. This is like a really exciting number in the stage show, but she just kind of, again, is like big titty goth girlfriend vibes and isn't really giving me the energy that I need from her. But, you know, whatever, it's fine. He asks her about the space upstairs, and we learn that she owns the space below his old barbershop / kind of townhouse vibe. And she sings, there was a barber and his wife, and he was beautiful. And we learn that his name used to be Benjamin Barker. And he asks what became of Benjamin Barker, like acting all coy.
Oh, what a handsome name. I'm sure he was handsome. But...
Never heard of him, but he sounds hot. What was his vibe? And she says that he was arrested. His crime? Foolishness. His wife was lured to the judge's house, where they were having a masked ball, and they S.A.'d her in front of everybody.
Okay, but that scene 8.
Good scene, very suspenseful, very scary.
Very, like, there's a little bit of panic.
Alan Rickman's in that spooky mask.
Yeah, very good production.
High anxiety filming on that.
Yeah.
And if this were the Phantom of the Opera movie, we wouldn't have that scene because it would just be Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd singing at each other in the living room.
Period.
So again, I'm like, I'll take what I can get, you know?
I like this part in the movie because you can actually tell what happened that night. In a lot of the stage versions, it's very interpretive dancing in the background kind of vibes that they're not super clear that it's like an essay moment.
But it's like, in this, it's like, oh damn, it's S.A. and the creepy beetle guy is like watching it and he's like ogling at them and yeah, it's nasty.
Truly.
And Sweeney freaks the fuck out hearing this news, which exposes himself to her as Benjamin Barker. And he's like, what happened to my wife? Mrs. Lovett says she poisoned herself.
Interesting.
Maybe just file that in here for later. And that the judge, after that, adopted his, like, little girl daughter, Joanna.
Uh-huh.
And so he, like, owns her now, basically. And she, like, sits in, like, the room all day and stares out the window. And that's, like, all she is allowed to do, I guess. So Sweeney Todd is now out to get his revenge.
This is the beginning of the revenge.
And he's not holding back.
Oh, at all.
I'm not holding back. Oh, at all.
And Mrs. Lovett lets him have the old barbershop space, and she gives him his old razor blades, which she kept hidden in the floorboards. And he sings the My Friend song, which I love this song. This is one of my favorite songs in the show.
Not when Johnny Depp does it, though.
Yeah, I like this song, but I did not. I mean, I haven't even heard it, but I was like, I would like this if somebody who could sing was singing it.
When it's sung by a singer,
A singer.
it eats. Okay.
I only listen to singers.
This was the first scene I muted while I was watching it.
We were allowed to mute.
Girl, we wouldn't have watched the movie then.
But here's the thing. Last week, it was Gerard Butler stinking up.
That's so true.
Stinking up
He
that
was so
soundtrack.
bad. But I mean,
So this to me was fine. Like, I could handle the kind of poppy, kind of flat Johnny Depp vocals. Because at least...
I'm going to talk most of these lines.
Yeah, he kind of
It's
sings it.
Why'd they have to make Sweeney a tenor? I can't do that.
Yeah, it's just very pop. Very rocker kind of voice.
It's homophobic.
Homophobic.
It's homophobic. I want a baritone bass. I want to feel that vibrato in my bussy hole.
I agree.
Oh.
Oh!
I thought this was a classy party.
I thought this was a classy podcast. So, after that, he, like, raises his, like, hand up and goes, "My arm is complete again."
I have a fun fact.
for
Scene-specific fun fact.
Go for it.
So that blade that he holds, and most of the blades he holds, Johnny Depp apparently really struggled with the manual razor. He struggled with keeping it open because it would just like, he'd tilt it too much and it would close. And so he had the prop department make him one that's on a switch. So that whole time, he's holding a switch down so it won't spring back closed. It's keeping the pressure up because he just was so...
I wonder if they were, like, prop knives that were just kind of, like, shittily made, do you think? Or were they actual, like...
They were actual blades.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They were
'Cause
actual
I think
blades.
the shaving was real. And we'll give him that.
I think it is. I think it's all real.
I think all of the shaving. Yeah.
I think the murder's real, too.
We also see that in this sequence, Mrs. Lovett is down bad for Sweeney Todd.
Oh, down bad.
She's, like, caressing him, like, "Oh,
Mr. T.
I'm your friend
I'm
too,
your friend
Mr.
too."
Todd."
Ugh.
And something about her doesn't sit right with me. Because, as we will learn, she might have a secret plan up her sleeve.
She just kind of plays this role the whole time like she has a secret.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she's keeping her little secret. That's not what this is supposed to be. And it drives me nuts the whole movie.
Yeah, she's not... Mrs. Lovett, to me, like, especially the Angela Lansbury version, which is the only other version I've really seen. Well, actually, that's not true. I did see the Patti LuPone bootleg, which was
That's a good one.
That's
Slime
why-
tutorial. Slime tutorial.
Sorry, the Patti LuPone Sweeney Todd slime tutorial, I thought was probably my favorite version of Sweeney Todd that I've ever seen. I really like the kind of like stripped down, artsy.
Yeah.
Patty can do anything.
She can do it.
And
She
we
played.
can do all things through Patty.
She played the tuba in that performance, and like, come on now. Like, now I don't want to see a version where Mrs. Lovett doesn't play the tuba the whole time.
Exactly.
But
And Patty would actively jump Madonna in the street if she saw her, and that's my favorite part about her.
no, that is so funny. We were talking about that the other day. Her being like, and I'll say it again, and I will eat this hot chicken wing because I stand by it, bitch.
Literally.
I mean, Madonna is a movie killer. Like, she is, right? We love Madonna.
Yeah. She can't sing.
But I would never cast her in a movie. Period.
No. Please, God,
A
no.
League of Their Own is the only one she's good in.
She was good in A League of Her Own. Well, she kind of just played herself, and she chewed gum a lot.
They gave her a character.
And she kind of just made a character.
She did what she did.
You're
best.
she gave it a character. Well, she's not good at doing that, actually.
Actually,
Just play yourself,
She's
Madonna.
no actress. She's no actress.
But she's the queen of pop. So, after that scene, we see an old, crazy beggar woman out in the streets. This character, okay? She's all kind of nasty, fucked up. She needs a makeover bad. And she's going up and she's begging people for shit. she sees Anthony and she asks him for shit, and he's noticing up in the window Joanna, okay? Joanna is, again, the girl, Sweeney Todd's, like, daughter, who's, like, now, like, grown up, and she sits in the window
and sings this god-awful song. Sorry to anyone who likes it. I knew Dakota would like it.
Greenfinch and
God-awful.
Oh my god, when it's sung by someone talented,
No,
it's
I've
really
heard it
nice.
sung by someone talented, and I still don't like it.
I like it.
She's just a little birdie in her cave.
Oh, that theme is so heavy-handed, though. We don't need the song to even paint it on thicker.
When I saw the revival with Josh Groban, the theme was so heavy that she was quite literally in a cage, hopping around and flitting around like a bird.
Shut
Here,
up.
right.
Shut up.
You know, not every performance is perfect.
I like it as like a soprano, because I talked about last week, I appreciate the classical vocals. I think this is a fun, like, opportunity to show range as a soprano.
But not for this girl. She did do a good job.
This girl, she's giving me Emmy Rossum from Phantom of the Opera vibes. We're like, yeah, she's okay. She's alright.
Passable, but not good.
Passable. I don't think I would have liked Amanda Seyfried either, because her vibrato in Les Mis is so, like, weird and unnatural. It's like she took... Where's that, like, massager thing? Can you hand me that? How do you turn it on?
It's a massage gun, everyone, for your body.
A massage
It's
gun.
not, it's not a personal massager. But she's like, in my life!
This beggar woman that appears seemingly out of nowhere in the film, right?
Right.
Stage show, this would be, I think, the third time you've
Yes.
seen her.
Right.
When I saw the revival, she was somewhere on stage, literally the entire show.
Because she's kind of like a Greek chorus vibe, right? Like, she's...
Chorus and kind of, like a major plot twist at the end.
Like, she's more than a beggar woman.
Exactly.
And while Joanna sings to herself, we do see the creepy judge guy watching her through a peephole that he's built into her room. So he's just nasty. Nasty.
Girl, nasty. I've been a nesting girl, nasty.
We also hear Anthony sing a song called Joanna, which is, again, one of my favorite songs from the show. This is supposed to be...
meant for a tenor.
Tenor. Yeah. Belted out and, like, really dramatic and these really classic vocals. But I don't know if this guy who was in Twilight, he's in the Volturi, of course.
Oh.
With Dakota Fanning when they go in the Volturi.
I just think that if this movie was made today, this role would be played by Timothée Chalamet. And I don't mean that as a compliment.
Yeah, I know.
They need a twink. They need a twink for this role. I don't imagine this character as a twink, though. I just don't. Especially a twink with, like, such a soft voice.
Famously, usually played by Broadway's best twink. Like, Jordan Fisher just played it on Broadway.
Gotcha.
This little rat-faced guy, I'm not so sure.
Kind of rat-faced. A little bit.
He also plays that weird monster in Stranger Things. At the latest season of Stranger Things, the one the running up that hill. They're trying to get her away from the monster. He plays the monster, I learned.
He's the guy, yeah.
I don't watch Stranger Things, so I don't know names or anything.
I've seen that episode, yeah, that is him. Jamie Campbell Bower, I think is his name.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Alan Rickman catches him singing Joanna, watching Joanna, and gets shitty with him. Well, he invites him inside and is all like, hey, like, first of all, let me flex on you about how many books I have. This was funny, him being like, I have all these books. I'm
well read.
So smart. And then he, like, bitches him the fuck out for staring at Joanna. And then he has Peter Pettigrew, whatever the fuck his name is.
The Beetle.
Beat his ass and kick him out on the street. And Anthony finishes the song with a bloody nose, vowing to one day steal Joanna. Which, that's creepy, right?
Steal you.
Maybe she doesn't even know you.
About which of these bad men is going to take control of this bird
No, right?
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Joanna. All of her options suck. Like, this creepy guy she doesn't know, her weird dad that doesn't give a shit about her.
Literally almost kills her. Oops,
Yeah,
spoiler.
right?
Sorry.
Spoiler. Oh. So, Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett are they're out in the town square and they're stalking the judge, trying to wait for the perfect moment to pounce. And they happen upon this little, sideshow where a little kid is singing to advertise a product called Pirelli's Miracle Elixir.
Have you ever seen the Trisha Paytas version of this?
I certainly have.
For her skincare brand, that was not working. That didn't work.
That was a scam.
It was so, y'all, she put it right out there.
But this is this little kid saying, ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? And then he pulls his hat off, and he's got these long, blonde, he looked like
He got inches.
Bundles. He looked like a Lindsay Lohan,
40-inch.
sweet tea ad. A Pure Leaf Lindsay Lohan
Yes,
ad.
oh my god.
With all of her, 40-inch bust-down bundles. And it's apparently this elixir that you're supposed to put it on your head and it makes your hair grow really
And he rubs
fast.
on that bald guy's head.
Rubbing it on bald guy's head. Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd are taking it, they're sniffing it, and they're like, this is piss.
Smells like piss.
Smells like piss. Which offends Pirelli himself, who's played by Sacha Baron Cohen, who comes out of the tent who's talking shit? I heard you were talking shit. Again, I like him in this role. I thought it was fun. He does a good job.
I don't like him, but
This is a good, probably the best, sequence in the movie.
yeah.
When they're at this town square.
Yeah. It's
agree.
it's
Sorry, I'm not-
well
Pretty true to
done.
what the stage version does.
It's very campy. And
Toby can sing pretty well. So
Can I
it's
speak
like-
on Toby? Can I speak about Toby for a moment and the character
I wish you
of
would.
Toby?
speak on it.
So traditionally, Toby on stage is played by an adult man.
Neil Patrick Harris, for example.
Neil Patrick Harris, for example, Joe Locke, for example, adult
Aaron
grown men.
Matarazzo.
Yeah. And and when this was written, the idea was that Toby was a man with a mental disability, a cognitive disability, and that's why he's going on with Pirelli. And the original intention was, this is a little bit of a spoiler for the end, but it kind of is, he's used as a device to distract you from Lovett's lack of humanity. It's trying to make it look, oh, she's maternal, it's kind of like a red herring of how she takes him because he's this man with a cognitive disability.
Right.
And I actually have to give the movie credit that they just made it a boy, because I think that there are some lines and some parts of this show that are pretty offensive when you think about him as a man with a cognitive disability and how they treat him. Because they speak about him like he's a kid in the show, in the movie that we're watching, and those lines were not changed from the stage to the movie, and they call him slow, and I think it's a lot better handled when it's an actual child as opposed to we're kind of making fun of a man with cognitive disability.
It's the same thing they did with Into the Woods, too. I mean, in the Into the Woods movie, Jack was supposed to be a disabled man.
Yeah.
Right.
The production, and they made it... It might be the same kid, even. I don't really know. All those little kids look the same to me.
They're different children.
No, the one from Into the Woods was the kid from Les Mis.
And Stranger Things.
He's a real cockney little kid. I don't know what he's saying when he's singing. Yeah, I remember that.
So I just appreciate that, because there are some icky lines about Toby, and so I think this was a smart choice, especially in 2007 when we're taking the pop cultural zeitgeist away from using certain words.
Sure, yeah.
Things. And so I think it was a smart choice.
I never knew that he was intended to be like a young adult. Yeah, I always just read him as a kid. So interesting for sure. Pirelli and Sweeney Todd have like a little barber cunt off. And Sweeney Todd is like, I challenge you, who can do the better shave. and I want to have the Beadle, Mr. Wormtail,
Since you're
over
here.
there, to come and judge the pageant. So they set it all up, and Pirelli is too busy abusing Toby, first of all, and unnecessarily cutting this poor boy's
fingertips
with the razor sharpener. And he's too busy flaunting his huge cock bulge. The cod piece they put on him is
diabolical,
just comically over large. He's belting out these really funny falsetto notes, and in the meantime, Sweeney Todd goes shoop 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 and shaves the guy in 2 seconds. And so obviously he wins, and Pirelli's okay.
Pirelli actually shaved him. He learned how to shave for this role. He went to his barber and he asked him to teach him the technique. So when you see him shaving, he's actually shaving that man.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love this scene. I agree with you, Dakota. This is one of the best scenes in the movie. Super camp. And
he understood the assignment.
The stage show is anything is in this. I mean, it's closer to being accurate to the source material.
Yeah. Which is that means it's doing a good job. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
Because he brought camp to the role.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's when you camp something up that's meant to be camp, it somehow works.
Just like Paytrust's Miracle Elixir.
Yeah. That's why I just don't again, I don't like the performances in this movie. I don't think anyone's campy in it. Except for him, really.
Yeah. After that, Wormtail comes up to Sweeney Todd and says, "Oh, I would just love to come by for a shave." And Sweeney gives a cunty look and is "Oh, and I promise it will be the closest shave I've ever gave."
Oh. Thank you.
That's suspicious.
That's weird.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Anthony goes back and he visits Joanna again, and she throws him a key out the window.
Key party!
Not should we do a little
number
key?
in the musical, by the way. This is a whole musical number.
Yes, this is a whole song.
Their characters are way more fleshed out, I do remember. And they're having a love affair and
He sneaks into the house and they sing a whole little love song.
Yeah.
Kiss me, oh sir. But it's cute.
Yeah.
They're in the show.
It's much better in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. In this version, it's they're just two hot people with no personalities that we barely get to know.
And I want to cut them out so badly, but frankly, their presence is one of the most important things to the plot.
They're just used as a plot device.
And it's a prop. They're props.
They're props. But he does not realize when she's throwing this key out to him that the judge is watching and he sees the whole interaction. And Sweeney Todd is getting impatient that the Beadle hasn't shown up yet to get a shave, even though it's only Tuesday. Mrs. Lovett says. He said he'd come by the end of the week. And she's like,
Mr. T, it's
Girl,
only Tuesday.
it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
And Lovett sings a song called Wait, advising him to have fun planning his revenge and to not be too hasty. And I do agree that Bonham Carter sells this very oh, she's manipulating him.
Yes.
You don't know what her motive is yet, but you can see that she's kind of playing him.
I do like that. I do like the whole time, but I think that's also just kind of how it's written.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
true,
just I
true.
just like that aspect of her character that it's oh, she is playing this motherfucker.
She's playing him like an upright motherfucking bass.
I just wish she was campier. Because
I've just seen actresses play it more she's being genuine, even though the material is saying, I'm lying.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that whole ruse. Oh, now she has this kid she's helping, and she's helping Sweeney, and I like that when I think, she's really good until the end, and I'm like,
yeah.
Mother!
Mrs. Lovett is a great character. I love Mrs. Lovett. Okay, so Anthony shows up and he asks if he can bring Joanna by after he rescues her from the judge's house that evening while he waits to go get a cab or something. And this Sweeney Todd is kind of awkward and triggered in this scene at the mention of his daughter. And so Mrs. Lovett answers for him, like, bring her here. Like, it's okay. Like, just bring her by. And I think this is an interesting, like, just part of the story where he's so caught up in the whole revenge plot that he does not realize that he can very easily, like, rescue his daughter and have her back. Like, all of the resources are available to him. But he doesn't give a fuck because he's just so blinded with rage. I think that's, like, a really interesting aspect of his character, just in general.
Mm-hmm. He goes for revenge over redemption.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. He's on the All-Stars 3 storyline, not the All-Stars 2 storyline.
Yeah.
Pirelli shows up. Toby stays down with Mrs. Lovett, and they're, like, bonding. And we see that his long Lindsay Lohan bundle is just a wig.
It was a wig.
Did you say wig?
Wig. I feel that.
I
Wig.
feel that. It's not for you. It's not for you.
That's just for us. That's for us.
Wig, did you just say wig?
Yes.
I know, wig. I feel that already.
What is wig? What is wig?
No, it's not your language. It's just for us. Wig.
Upstairs, Pirelli, who we realized was just doing a fake Italian accent before, now he kind of just talks like this. He says that he recognizes Sweeney Todd as Benjamin Barker and wants to, like, extort him for, like, money, and he wants, like, a percentage of his earnings from the barber shop, and he's gonna blackmail him and this and that. So, in a really fun scene, I think, Sweeney Todd takes the hot tea kettle and just, like, beats the shit out of this guy and, like, bashes his brains in. And this is when the movie's at its best. Like, when it's gory and fun and it's being, like, a straight-up kind of slasher movie.
Yes.
I'm having a lot of fun here.
I feel
There's
God.
the blood in this movie, honestly.
Yeah, so much. Toby runs to look for Pirelli and doesn't realize that the crate that he's, like, leaning up against as he's talking to Sweeney Todd, you can see Pirelli's, like, hand, like, kind of coming out of it.
Twitching.
This was camp. I love this kind of shit. And for a second, you're like, oh my god, is he gonna have to kill this kid, like, right here, right now?
It's a really scary thought.
He's scary. And Johnny Depp, I will say, like, wah, wah, we don't like him. But he is really creepy in his creepy roles. Like, he is, like, if anything, good.
Because he is a creepy man.
Being himself, right? Being a fucking freak. And, yeah, I thought this was suspenseful. But luckily, he convinces Toby to go downstairs for a glass of gin.
A tot of gin.
Get him a tot
and
of gin.
That's another reflection on they didn't change any of the lines. Because it makes more sense if he's a man.
Like, right.
Why is he drinking gin as, like, a 12-year-old kid? Even then, they're giving their kids beer, but not hard liquor.
That makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
But he's an adult who was in a workhouse.
I thought the joke was that he was, like, an alcoholic child. I think that's
the joke that they make out of the situation.
That's what they did with
Because in the stage show, when he's down there, there's not a really funny sequence of him being like, leave the bottle. Like, that's not played up in the stage production.
Makes sense. We see that Pirelli is still alive, but Todd finishes him off with a really gnarly throat
slit.
All the throat slits in this, I think you can tell are practical. I think some of the...
I think they are practical,
The blood that splashes is CGI blood, but I think it has to be mixed with some kind of practical blood.
It's like a latex. I think it's then... Because there's, like, different types of practical effect makeup blood, and there's, like, a drip blood that, like, once it's, like, revealed, it's just gonna, like, drip out. So it's probably they did, like, a latex layer, and then they probably just slit it with the blade very, like, precisely, and then the blood would just pour out.
But this is, like...
Or there might have even also been, like... Sometimes they'll do, like, in their costumes, they'll have, like, a pump. And so sometimes the actor will, like, squeeze, like, a pump to, like, make the blood then gush out. So there's a lot of things they could have probably done. There's probably a behind the scenes on this, maybe.
I appreciate that because most of the time it would be, unfortunately nowadays, just the whole blood, all the gore is just CGI.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can tell that there is some makeup, there is some actual practical blood being used. And it looks gnarly. Like, the gore is so sick in this movie. I love it.
Most of the productions of the show I've seen too, they use like they pull like a piece of like red scarf out of the actor's like costume, and there's no blood at all. Like,
That's very theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
I love that they added the gore to this movie.
it's what works, I think. It's like one of the reasons why it is fun to have an adaptation of this movie. Where a lot of the times it's like, why are we making a movie of this Broadway show? Like, what's the point here?
Into the Woods. Hello.
Hello.
I'm sorry, the new Mean Girls.
The
new Mean Girls.
Okay.
So, in every country that this movie was released, it got either a rated R or their equivalent. So it was, in some places, rated R, so in the United States that means 17 plus. In some countries that's 18 plus, in some countries that's 16 plus. There's one country who gave it a normal teenage rating, and that was France at PG-12 is what they do.
I love France.
I love the French. They don't give a fuck.
They don't care. So everywhere else you have to show ID, and like a normal kid could have walked into this in France.
That's so funny. So we get this like little campy scene of the judge giving this poor little innocent boy the death sentence for no reason, and I thought this was funny.
Hilarious.
My God, have mercy on your soul. And it's like an 8-year-old boy.
He's like, I've seen you in this courthouse once before.
And he tells Beetle that he intends to marry Joanna.
Ew.
But she's 15. Remember that.
Yeah,
she's
mind
15
you.
years old.
But she's shown a certain reluctance. So the Beetle suggests that he goes and gets a shave
Well,
to
first
make
of all, he
himself
says,
look more presentable.
Please, master, please, sir, can I please speak to you, please?
Oh, he is a submissive bottom.
His cock is locked up in a cage. And Master will unlock it if he drinks from his doggy bowl.
Shut up.
What did you say?
I said, ma'am, this is a Wendy's.
Ma'am, this is a Sondheim production.
Master has my
Sondheim was known to
pathetic
have
cock.
a sex dungeon in his New York apartment.
Who does?
Sondheim.
Period.
Oh, yeah.
Lore. It's deep Sondheim lore. That he had like a sex dungeon and always had a barrage of twinks coming over.
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
Oh, just get me on Broadway. Let's do it.
Mama, that's Stephen Sondheim, honey.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. So he's all like planting the idea, like, go and get yourself shaved to look more young and presentable. And oh, I know the perfect person you can go to. I just saw him win a contest yesterday. So we've got that played out. At the barber shop, Mrs. Lovett goes up to check on things, and she finds the body of Forelli like in that crate. And at first she's like, "You're fucking mad." But then like 2 seconds later, he's like, "Oh no, he was trying to blackmail me." She's like, "Oh, well, you should have told me that." Like,
I'd be afraid if you didn't do it then.
Right.
And then she pulls out one of my favorite lines from this production, of any production, is when she reaches and steals and he goes, have not, want not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, waste not, want not.
Waste not, want not. I love it.
She's like, "That sounds fine then. Very good." And Sweeney Todd tells her that he wants to kill Toby too to keep things quiet. But she kind of likes Toby, like we said. She wants to play this whole maternal storyline.
Yeah.
So she convinces him to let Toby stay and like help out around the shop, and she's grown fond of him and whatnot. Suddenly, Alan Rickman shows up, and Sweeney Todd is like, "This is my moment. Love it. Get the fuck out."
This is my moment.
And Judge and Sweeney Todd sing "Pretty Women."
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, he gives us the boom, 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 boom. I love it. Again, I think this is
When
camp.
it's two really great singers,
That's a
it's such good song.
great moment.
Yeah, but it's Alan Rickman, though. I love
Rest in
it.
peace, but not. It's like you said earlier, like a dog walking on its hind legs.
Yes.
Scary and threatening.
And Sweeney Todd takes this time to give the judge an actual shave because he is just like relishing in this moment. And he's about to slice and dice. But then Anthony's dumbass shows up, yapping on about Joanna, not even seeing that the judge is right there. So
He's right behind me, isn't he?
the judge gets pissed and leaves, but first it tells Todd, like, "I see what kind of company you keep here. I'll never return to this location." That's like when a customer says,
Yeah.
like when a Karen is like, "You've lost my business," and it's like, "Good,
Thank you.
okay."
That's what we had to do.
And Sweeney Todd kicks out Anthony in like this rage, like, "Get out, get out!" And he sings the song Epiphany, and we see this like fantasy of him walking through the streets, like approaching all of the men walking around, and he's basically like, "Bitch, I'm just gonna kill people now. Like, whatever. Fuck the revenge. Fuck all this. Fuck all that. Y'all are gonna die.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
We're gonna go on a killing spree."
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
And yeah, I think that Johnny Depp doesn't do a great job at really capturing the passion as much. It's just a very, like we said, like subdued performance. He's kind of got this like, I'm a zombied out, kind of like spaced out guy, and I'm all creepy. And I don't know if I necessarily need the character of Sweeney Todd to be like Wednesday Addams vibes.
For real. There was just like absolutely nothing in his performance for this song. And it's like, I know I'm going to say it again, but like Josh Groban doing this, I had absolute goosebumps. Like, you could hear a fucking pin drop in the theater after this number. Because he was still scary. Like, he was scary.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's what Johnny Depp was going for, and I really was just giggling. Because it was so unserious.
It's so unserious. And it's like, at the end of the day, they're afraid to showcase how you can convey passion and rage in just a really good vocal performance of something. Like, some people are just so talented at singing that they can convey that emotion through how fucking good it's sounding coming out of their throat hole because they've got that blessed voice.
Throat hole.
But I do like how at the end of him just like singing this out, we cut back and he's like standing there in the shop, like finishing his number, and she's like, "Okay, well that sold very well, but what are we gonna do about him?" And points to the dead body. She's like, "Okay, anyways, well whatever that means. Like, let's discuss the matter at hand." And they're discussing different ways to like take care of the body. This is when we get my favorite song in the stage show, A Little Priest, which is this campy number where she's kind of realizing, you see in real time of her being like, "Oh wait, we can bake people into the pies. Not only will this fuel your like
homicidal rage,
this will be good for my fucking business." So they're looking out the window and they're looking at all the different kinds of people in the town, and they're making these sick, dark, twisted jokes about what those people would taste like.
And hilarious.
And it's so funny.
Except
they don't do it funny.
They're not funny.
They don't play it for jokes in this. They're just like staring out the window, blank face, commenting, and this is supposed to be like badoom.
And they're like cackling. They even think they're funny.
Like
they
puns.
think they're funny.
Like they're supposed to be stupid, silly little puns.
Yes, it's like they're setups and
they're getting. I feel like it's supposed to. I mean, I have not seen it, but I feel like there's more. The more they go on with the song, they're like, "Oh, we're hyping ourselves up,
Yeah.
like, bitch. We're gonna do this."
They get giddy, yeah, and the part where they waltz in the show is a great like revelation. It's a great character moment for these two because it's him finally acknowledging her as being kind of on his level because she's the one who comes up with this idea. And so he starts waltzing with her as a like, you know what? You have a good point, and maybe like the two of us can work together. Meanwhile, she's living for it because she's in love with him, and she's
horny for him.
Horny. She is straight up dickmatized, and she is getting attention in this moment. So there's lots of levels to it, and yeah, when they start waltzing in the movie version, it's so like weird.
Awkward.
First of all, like it comes out of nowhere. And they also look like they're on a trolley. Like, it just does not look like they're actually dancing.
Weird.
It's weird. Like, at that point, don't have them waltz. Have them do
And it's like,
something else.
This is the Act 1 finale. Like, this is where you hit the high of the energy.
Yeah. And it just
and
is
you just
so
don't
flat.
get that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just low energy all throughout. But at the end of that, the judge tells Joanna that she is going to be taken to the asylum, bitch.
All right.
To get her sex change operation.
She is the illegal alien. And Anthony knows what's up, and so he goes and he follows the carriage because he's going to go try and save Joanna. So we see Sweeney Todd back at the barbershop. He is building this very saw trap kind of chair. And it's rigged to flip back and send a bitch going down a chute to be put in the pies. Which I love this part. I like this kind of shit.
I do like that they show him build the chair. It's kind of fun.
It's fun. Like, this is the kind of shit that you need to do in a movie musical.
When you have the resources to do this. Because in the stage production, they don't do this.
Right. But this was just cute and fun. Cutesy. We also get a montage of him slitting people's throats. Like, we see the whole, I'm going on a killing spree. And the song that he's singing is interlaced with Anthony's voice singing Joanna. And it's this really cool, gorgeous moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's the great example of how much of a mastermind Sondheim was. Because you're seeing the juxtaposition of this really horribly gruesome, evil thing that's going on. But then you're hearing the kind of, like, emotional reasoning behind it. Like, it's kind of beautiful in a way. Oh, I just noted, the gore here is insanely good. There's this moment, this is like a really gnarly throat splash, and the blood splashes against the camera lens.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And again, this is just cool shit that...
It's sick.
Makes the movie worthwhile to me. The only man that he doesn't kill on his killing spree is a man who came in with a wife and kids.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of his only thing that he won't do. We also see the beggar woman again. She is crackhead vibes, singing like, Mischief, city on fire!
City on fire!
She also calls Mrs. Lova a witch. So, just again, file that.
Woman.
Yeah, and file that piece of information in your brain. Then we get the God That's Good sequence.
And they don't say the title of the song in the show.
They
This
don't?
movie needed one good ensemble number, and it was right there for them.
It's an easy
right
one.
There.
Because
they like cut this down, didn't they?
Did you hear the like da 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 in between them singing? That's supposed to be a chorus of people going, God, that's good. And then she sings
more pies, more hot pies.
God, that's good.
Watching this, I knew that that's what they say because I've seen a stage show, but I didn't even realize that they don't even say it.
And it's so awkward when she's singing because it's usually broken up, and so when she's singing, it's just they seem so out of place because she's talking to people for no reason now, and half the interactions don't make sense of what she's doing.
No, fully.
It needed a good ensemble number, which Sweeney Todd usually has tons of them.
In the show, this is like, she's serving the pies and she's going around and their business is booming and there's all these people and they're demanding more pies and Toby is like her waiter and he's going around. And then she's also like, throw the old woman out. And she keeps having him toss out this old beggar woman who keeps showing up. Mrs. Lovett and Mr. Todd are sitting in the park, and she is fantasizing about them getting married and going to the beach, and she sings By the Sea, and I think this is cute in the movie.
The design of this is so good.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, the set is the CGI green screen now.
The green screen's bad, but...
Green screen bad, but
the set,
I like the
design was
pier,
good.
like, yeah.
They're walking on the pier. They're having people over for dinner.
They get married.
Yeah, it's
costumes
really
are incredible. Yeah, and
this is a highlight in the movie for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the costuming, I think, just throughout the whole movie is very well done.
Because again, to bring up my favorite movie, Phantom of the Opera, 2004. If this were Phantom of the Opera 2004, she'd just be singing at him. We wouldn't get to see her fantasy at all. So this is why, like, upon watching this, I was like, I'm having fun here. Do I love every decision that was made in this movie? No, but it's not the worst, like, adaptation of a musical I've ever seen. And that's truly how low the bar is.
Such a way to make this funnier too, like in the delivery of the lines, and she just.
Yeah. No, I agree.
See, but this reminds me, because we just watched this 2 weeks ago, it reminds me of Somewhere That's Green. I like Somewhere That's Green better. I like that whole fantasy.
Yeah.
It's
montage.
I like that montage way more.
Yeah.
I think it's just way. But you know, I mean, when you kind of like, I mean, we're comparing movies, so I'm going to do it. Like when you compare these two, it's like, well, after just seeing one movie that already literally did this exact same kind of thing, I preferred Little Shop of Horrors way over this one.
But like Somewhere That's Green is like the gold standard of fantasy sequences.
Yeah.
In movie musicals.
I love that movie.
Oh, it's a great one. I like that
It's
one.
one of my favorites.
All the time.
Listeners, go listen to our episode on Little Shop of Horrors.
And watch.
Yeah, I really like this number, and she's just in love with Sweeney Todd, and he kind of doesn't give a shit about her at all. But he does kind of like put, at the end of the number, he puts his hand on her leg for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's kind of him showing any kind of semblance of affection in his own like little silly goofy way. There's this moment where Mrs. Lovett is trying to convince Todd to move on from Lucy and like his past and his whole revenge. Like she's like, at some point you have to move on, man, basically. But then suddenly Anthony shows up to tell Todd that he found Joanna in the Bedlam Asylum and that he needs help. And so Todd comes up with this whole elaborate plan. They're going to dress him up like a wig maker. Wig. Oh my God. Wig, right?
Wig.
And they're going to sneak in and steal Joanna because apparently all the wigs are being made from like the insane asylum patients' hair. So they have that going on, and he has Toby send a letter to the judge to kind of lure him to the barber shop with the idea that Joanna will be there later. So Toby sings this song called Not While I'm Around to Mrs. Lovett because he is sharing that he is just sus of Sweeney Todd. Because he basically says in the song, he's like, I'm a dumb bitch, but I'm not fucking stupid. Okay? I know what is going on here. And then he even recognizes Mrs. Lovett she has a clutch purse, and apparently it was Pirelli's clutch. And he's like, that's Pirelli's clutch purse. Like, what the fuck? And she's like, oh, Mr. Todd gave this to me as a gift. And he's like, well, then that's the evidence, okay? Like, that is suspicious. Y'all are sketchy. So she starts singing to him to calm him down, but she's like crying over his shoulder because she realizes at this point they're going to have to kill this kid because he knows too much at this point. And yeah, I like the kind of dynamic of her being like, oh, I do like Toby, and I feel sorry that we're going to have to kill him. But at the end of the day,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Can I do a little side note here?
Please.
So Sutton Foster replaced Annalise Ashford as Mrs. Lovett on Broadway. And the only, like, bootleg I've seen is her singing this song. And God, it was bad.
Who is it?
Sutton Foster.
I heard her by the sea, and it was also bad.
I'm not a Sutton girl, but damn.
I liked her in anything else.
Neither.
I did.
I liked her in Shrek, but, you know, that's
We're
not
also,
hard to do.
we have to admit, the four of us are bitter because she went to the same school we all went to, and we have...
No, she got an honorary
She didn't
degree.
even go there.
She got an honorary degree. Well, let's be clear. She didn't go there.
Okay, well, technically...
But
I mean,
all the girlies who would go to her once a year seminar would be like, oh, I met Sutton Foster. I'm better than all of you. And I
met her once. It was fine.
Speak on it.
She's alright.
She's alright. You know, Thoroughly Modern Millie, whatever. Shrek.
Whatever, yeah.
But her and Aaron Tveit is the same kind of energy as Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
Negative.
And that's not... Yeah, that's a negative for sure. So she brings Toby down to the bakehouse. And he's all excited because she says, I'm going to teach you how to do the meat grinder and how to light the fire and do the oven and all that shit. But he also notices that there is a foul smell coming up. And she's like, oh, it's dead rats or some shit. Like, she has, like, some excuse for it. But that's kind of the first mention of, like, their bodies are starting to build up and decompose, which I think is a really gruesome detail to add.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, Toby, like, BRB, be right back. 1 second. She leaves and she locks him in the bakehouse down there, like in the cellar. And Anthony is in the insane asylum, dressed up like the wig maker, and rescues Joanna. And then he lets the asylum worker get swarmed by the army of, like, crazy bitches that are, like, up in the insane asylum. And I thought that was fun and camp.
Good detail.
Yeah. The beadle stops by the shop to investigate the poop smell, and Sweeney Todd convinces him to come up to the barber room. Like, what does he say? Some kind of like, oh, we have perfumes or something.
He said, like, treat yourself to a bit of luxury or something.
Yeah. It was very Delta. He was kind of like, oh, what scent do you wear? Is that patchouli or, like, what kind of notes?
Is it
Aquatic notes?
Aquatic
Flip-flops?
Flip-flops.
Summer? Suntan lotion.
Coastal Escape.
Coastal Escape.
Coastal Escape.
Suntan lotion. Aquatic notes. Flip-flops. Which fragrance do I have? And I look through and I'm like, Coastal Escape.
So he's like, okay, I have some Coastal Escape up in my barbershop. Come up here. Meanwhile, Toby is like, well, while I'm sitting down here, I'll just eat a meat pie. And he's eating his little meat pie. He notices that there is a thumb in the meat pie.
That grossed me out so bad.
It literally looks like a mannequin thumb, too. The thumb kind of looked bad. I'm not gonna lie.
It looked awful. It looked like rubber.
It was kind of rubbery. But then he also gets jump scared. Right behind him, the trap door opens, and the beetle falls through, having had his throat slashed, and is dead. So Toby starts freaking out and realizes, yeah, he's trapped down here. Then Todd and Lovett go down to get Toby, who's hiding from them, and this is a really creepy scene. And I think that Helena Bonham Carter does sell, again, the creepy aspects of Lovett really well. Like her being like, Toby, where are you? Like, ew, disgusting. She's a fucking freak.
Don't talk to me like that.
She does a great job in the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yes, no, I kind of noted that. I was like, she's selling it at this point. I do like the finale of hers. Upstairs, Anthony brings Joanna by to wait there while he goes and gets an Uber. And she says, they have this weird scene where he's like, now you'll finally be free, Joanna. And she's like, I'll never be free. And I'm like, okay, freak, like, just be happy for 2 seconds. But no, I get it, because, like, I think this is in the show, right? This is Sondheim's, like, whole critique on, like, trauma and how, like, something about, like, the ghosts will never go away. And, like, even if, like, she does escape with Anthony at the end of the show, this poor girl is going to be haunted the rest of her life.
Yeah.
So he leaves. And
if
then
they were black.
And the beggar woman comes in. Joanna is hiding in the trunk, okay? And Sweeney Todd comes in looking crazy, looking serial killer-ish, and it's tense. And when he hears Alan Rickman approaching, he's like, bitch, you gotta go. And at first, this old lady is like, wait, don't I know you, mister? He slits her throat and sends her down the garbage chute.
There is something to say with how much they, like, tightened this up. Because, like, in the stage show, this beggar woman is up there in that room for, like, 4 or 5 full minutes by herself on stage.
Oh, and she's literally like, hi, Saps. Oh!
Yeah.
Gets
I'm
killed
like,
in 2
yes,
seconds.
get her out of there. Let's keep it moving. Keep trucking.
Which I kind of appreciate. I will say, like, I had a big smile on my face during this whole, like, ending, because I think that the way that they handled the twist in the movie and the whole finale, I think Tim Burton did a good job here. He knows how to, like, make an exciting ending, and
I
From Toby getting Joanna out of the asylum to the end, I think is really strong.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's the tone that Tim Burton is made for. The rest of the show has a completely different tone that he is not prepared for.
True, yeah. It kind of like switches, and you can really feel when he's in his element versus when he's out of his element here. So, Todd says that Joanna will be here soon. And like, oh, she wants to get back with you. Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. She's into it now, and she wants to apologize. And Alan Rickman's like, well, whatever she wishes for. Or what does he say? He's like, as she may. Or I don't know. Like he's just being like Professor Snape.
As she wishes.
And in the meantime, Todd is like, how about a shave? And they sing the Pretty Women reprise. And Todd reveals his true identity to the judge just before fucking him up. Like, he stabs this man 8 million times.
8 million.
It is like Kill Bill levels of gore.
It's good.
Spraying. It reminds me of...
Splatters on the window. That was really cool.
the splashing on the window. Yeah, this was like Tim Burton, like, in his Quentin Tarantino era, for sure.
Yeah.
I do like the choice of the stab as opposed to the slice.
Slit.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting...
There's more rage in that. More power behind it. And...
Well, I think it's also because that's the one... Because, like, the whole thing is he only wanted to kill the judge the whole time.
Yeah.
Levitt convinces him to kill all these other people. So I think for him, like, to switch it from the slice to the stab is to show that, like, no, he really, really wanted to do this one. Like,
of course,
this one
was for him.
He wanted, and I think also the stabbing was making sure that he wouldn't just, because the slitting of the throat is going to kill you more, it's going to kill you pretty instantly.
He wanted him to
be in pain.
Be in pain.
Be in agony.
Also, I think I like this. I like this.
And
I think
he gets covered in blood.
Oh, gory.
Yeah.
But I think Johnny Depp could have gone a little more over the top.
Again, it's subdued.
Like, that's, I'm like, this is the one. Like, it kind of has to be like, kind of like how Pearl is. Like, that kind of, like, her first kill in X, where it's kind of orgasmic. I feel like it needs to be kind of like, obviously it's not, like, sexual, but it needs to be like, it needs to be like, this is it. You're so satisfied. You finally did what you've been wanting to do this all fucking time. And it's just in it, like, but the kill itself is very well done. I think
I agree with
Johnny Depp's performance is subdued.
Yeah. Joanna then peeks out of her little...
Josh, I would have been like,
bitch, what is she doing? She's like, hey.
Oh, hey.
And Todd, because she's in this disguise, and she has her little, like, Senorita Awesome hat on. She literally is dressed like Senorita Awesome. And he thinks that she's
a
like
pumpkin spice latte. But it went freezing cold.
Those white girl pumpkin spices make me so annoyed. I'll just have a black coffee because I'm not like the other girls. I'm Senorita Awesome. But he thinks that she's like this young lad and like is gonna slit her throat. He almost kills his daughter. And luckily we hear some screaming coming from downstairs that distracts him, and he's like, you better leave, just run, and
forget my face.
I'll spare your life. So, Todd goes down to help Lovett, and the judge was kind of like still holding on for dear life and kind of spooked her. That's why she was screaming, but ultimately he dies. So when Todd comes in, he's like, here, let me help you. We'll get rid of these bodies. Open the oven. So she goes to open the oven. This is like probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I love this whole ending. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
While she is getting the oven prepared, he's looking down at the old beggar woman's body, and he's like, wait a minute. Plot twist. That was his wife. That was Lucy. After she got SA'd by the judge, she, like, went completely insane and had all this, like, crazy PTSD that caused her to, like, be this old beggar woman on the streets. And Mrs. Lovett has been lying about it this whole time, manipulating Todd. So not only could she help her business grow, but also she could get with Mr. Todd because she is down bad for him. And he's realizing this whole time, like, not only was I being played, I just killed my wife, who I was trying to avenge this whole movie. Damn. This is a crazy, crazy twist. I love it. And he is pissed the fuck off with Mrs. Lovett. And he's pretending, there's like this moment where he's like, no, I'm good. Like,
yeah, no, it's a great interaction.
Totally
between
not
the two.
mad. Come here, Mrs. Lovett, let's waltz some more. They're waltzing, and she's like, oh, are you sure you're not mad? He's like, no. Bitch yeets her into the oven. Yeet! And she gets burned to death.
It's fucking gnarly, too.
Gnarly.
He, like, closes the door on her.
You see her, like, start to go up in flames. Wah! Like, such a good death scene. This is my favorite.
Graphic.
Favorite part in the movie.
It's
I
good.
love the unexpected surprise of him just yoinking her right into that oven. And then he creepily, like, watches through the little opening, and his eyes are glowing with the fire, like the glow from the fire. And he looks really scary. And I think Tim Burton did such a good job here. He goes over, and he is caressing Lucy's body and, like, cradling it in his arms, singing about how sad he is. Oops, I killed my wife. Toby comes out from behind. He was hiding in, like, the grate or something. He takes the knife on the floor, slits Sweeney Todd's throat, who then bleeds all over Lucy, her body, coating her with blood. And we get, like, a zoom out, and that's the end. Very gnarly, gruesome. It's like one of those ending scenes of a movie where it's like, I need to watch, like, something, like, jolly after watching that, because that was, like, dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's Sweeney Todd. Overall thoughts now that we've ended. Anything else we want to add?
I'm begging for a remake.
I think it's about time. I mean, we're remaking everything at this point. Why not give us, like, a proper Sweeney Todd movie, right?
Exactly.
But I think most people, like the general public,
liked
this movie.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, because people have a hard on for Johnny Depp and Helena.
Especially in 2007.
Preach it.
Or 8 or whatever this came out.
Yeah, it's just, it came out during his, like, a lot of his peak era.
He was coming off of Pirates of the Caribbean. They were making World's End or whatever that one was called.
Yeah, he was at his peak for sure.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I like parts of that. I really like aspects of it, but knowing Tim Burton films, this is not my favorite. I think he's done better. I think he's
100%.
directed better.
But yeah, okay, so I think our laptop is getting ready to die, so we're going to have to say goodbye here soon. Dakota, thank you so much for being on the show this week.
Yes,
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
This was so much fun.
Anytime. I know you're not like a big horror fan, so we wanted to get you on when we weren't doing like a horror episode.
Yeah, let me know when you guys do more musicals.
We definitely will. Yeah, so
Will we?
Will we? I don't know. We'll see. But we are doing my favorite movie musical ever next week. And I am so excited. We're doing Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Which is a classic.
Which it's good, but it's no Nikki Blonsky hairspray. You know what I mean?
That one's fun. I do love the Hairspray movie. They did a good job. But yeah, Rocky Horror is like very much my vibe, and I'm really excited to talk about it. And yeah, that's all I have for this episode of Let's Scream. Does anybody else have anything else to add?
No.
All right. Thank you again, Dakota, for being here.
Thank you.
And until next week, we want to say thank you so much for joining us this week on Let's Scream. We hope you had a fun time with us at London with Mr. Todd. Please remember to follow the pod, like the pod, and leave a glowing review of the pod, of course. It really helps us out, especially the reviews. We are trying to get this podcast monetized. So we appreciate that. And if you also...
Or sponsors.
Yes, or sponsors, exactly. And we are at Let's Scream Pod on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So you can follow us there. If you want to follow us individually, you can follow me at Parker_Will_C on Instagram.
And you can follow me at StevieNash95 on Instagram.
You can follow me at Jesus_Isa_biscuit on Instagram.
Dakota, where can our lovely listeners follow you?
Bing Bong Boy with 3 Ys on Instagram.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And you can see all of the expeditions you get to go on, all the really fun trips that you go on. You have like your Instagram is literally a travel vlog.
Yeah. Girl,
At this point.
Yeah.
girl, get into it.
Yeah, literally.
Become a
I'm
travel
thinking about
vlog.
doing a TikTok thing, but we'll see.
And until next time, this has been
Let's Scream. Bye.
Bye.